Our only hope, literally our only hope, is to elect Peter Dutton and a coalition government that is committed to pursuing the Trump agenda. If we end up with a Labor government or a minority government propped up by the ghastly teals and other leftist ratbags, you can basically write us off. But here's the thing. Even a coalition government, as it now stands, does not guarantee we are out of the woods. Peter Dutton is a good man and he is fantastic on opposing much of the woke agenda. He clearly has no time for diversity nonsense, and his stance on only having one Australian flag is to be applauded. On Israel, Australian Jews have never had a more solid Prime Minister than they will have with Peter Dutton. I know Peter Dutton is a big fan of mining, and I trust he's prepared to tackle the necessary red, green and black tape to get Australia moving again. All those issues, by and of themselves, are reason enough to vote for the coalition. But, and it's an important but, there are two glaring issues where I would urge Mr. Dutton to stop listening to the bedwetters and focus group fanboys in his party and instead align the coalition directly with the Trump agenda. The first is on free speech. Trump and J.D. Vance have made it clear that free speech and freedom for the internet without government censorship are core values. On this issue, the coalition are as far from Trump as you can get. Not only have they committed to and prioritised the appalling e-safety commissioner and her World Economic Forum ideology, they have idiotically voted for and supported the under-16 social media ban, the most self-destructive act imaginable. As Trump himself proved, Dutton desperately needs young people on social media if we are to have any hope of getting an anti-woke, pro-conservative message through to the kids as an antidote to the hardcore left-wing mainstream media shoved down their throats by the mainstream media in our education system. But that error can and will be fixed. Whoever wins the next election, the under-16 ban is unworkable, unenforceable, and it will quickly fizzle, mark my words. Karen, as she's called, will also soon learn that her pro-transgender priorities and censorious instincts cannot survive the Trump-Musk era. But the other area where Dutton and the coalition are completely out of step is, of course, on climate change. Trump pulling out of the Paris Agreement was the golden opportunity for Peter Dutton to ditch the idiotic net zero commitment made by Scott Morrison foolishly. Instead, Dutton has done the complete opposite and unbelievably recommitted to staying in Paris. This is sheer stupidity. Make no mistake. I want Peter Dutton in the lodge and I want the coalition running the show. But more importantly, I want them to be a successful Conservative government, not a disappointment, not a failure. The big mistake Tony Abbott made was to hamstring himself before he even got into power with foolish commitments designed to appease the bedwetters within his party, such as no cuts to the ABC. Dutton risks doing precisely the same with "we're staying in Paris." The Paris Agreement is now utterly pointless, utterly illogical, it is virtue signalling, and it will seriously hinder our economic prospects going into the future to the tune of hundreds of millions, possibly billions of dollars. Absolute madness. Climate change is anathema to Donald Trump. He is even reviewing all the US wind turbine plans. He hates the things and wants to pull them down, every one of them, and who can blame him? Ask the people of Newcastle. In Britain this week, wind power has totally collapsed and wind is providing less than 1% of the UK's energy during a freezing winter. Instead, the UK have to rely on nuclear and other power from Europe. Take it from me. Net zero is going the way of flares and of the 8-track cartridge. Net zero is doomed. The climate change cult is imploding before our eyes. So I implore Peter Dutton and the coalition, lead. lead Australia out of the climate cult madness and lead Australia into a golden energy age of our own. Harness the spirit of the American Renaissance and ditch all the vestiges of the woke ancien regime of climate change, net zero, and government censorship. The world has moved on. Australia's most successful business person, Gina Reinhart, seen here the other day at the Trump inauguration with Argentina's Javier Milei, well, she is urging the Australian government to emulate Donald Trump and to set up our own Department of Government Efficiency and to abandon the Paris Agreement. But like the Aussie entrepreneurs of the 80s, Mrs. Reinhart is already eyeing up, as are other Aussie billionaires, the huge investment opportunities in the United States that are blossoming thanks to, quote, the non-woke, non-left American revolution of Donald Trump. Gina Reinhart, whose Hancock Prospecting is a sponsor of this network, is urging Peter Dutton to follow Donald Trump, pull out of Paris and abandon net zero to herald in an Australian economic boom. But so far, Dutton is refusing to do so. Big mistake. At the Roy Hill mine Christmas party last year, Roy Hill being one of our great iron ore mines, the miners sang their own version of All I Want for Christmas with a Trumpian twist. Make Australia great again. Now there's a slogan worthy of Mo and Joe.